It's good to wrap up spring. No major injuries. As I told the team afterwards, it's definitely been the most consistent we've been for the 15 practices. We're not perfect for all 15, but I felt like the guys were really out there making a conscious effort to improve on the things that we point out in the meetings, and we had great energy. The guys were really flying around this morning, having fun, competing, getting better all the way through. So very pleased with the progress we made. I feel like we have more depth. We have some good young talent that we need to continue to work with. So overall, very productive, very good spring. And we need to keep that momentum, keep that consistency going here with the last 2.5, 3 weeks of school, and have a great summer. Physically and mentally, getting tougher, getting stronger, getting bigger. And if we do that, then we'll be excited heading into fall.
If you can take yourself back there mentally, compare sort of how you felt about the job that was ahead of you at the end of your first spring here, compared to sort of what you feel about this program after this spring.
Well, just like I tell the players all the time, I try to be very honest with them, and if I'm honest with myself, it could be challenging to say the least. But really, you just focus on what you can control, and that's truly what we did from day one till now. Is work with what we had, get what we had better, and again, mentally and physically, and that was the concentration, the first spring. But it's a challenge when you need some sharper arrows.
Yeah. Mark, had you already seen the videos from over at Richmond that got released yesterday, and kind of what your reaction to them?
Yeah, I saw the videos. Yeah, I've addressed
Had you already seen them before they got released yesterday?
I'm not going to comment on that. There was no surprises to me yesterday. So I've addressed it with the players and with the team, and we've moved on.
What qualities does Jason Asher bring to the defense this year?
Jason is a guy that really excited about with getting some good experience a year ago, getting him out there in a position where he can make some plays. He's very explosive. He's a guy that's always been a great pass rusher. He's getting more and more comfortable on his feet and more versatile. So I like what Jason's doing. And Melvin has just been very consistent. He's got a chance to be a dominant player and be a very good player. So he's got to continue to work and have a good off season. But we expect an awful lot of him. Yeah, very, very pleased with him. He's going to be a very good football player for a guy that should be wrapping up high school right now. Really did a good job. It was very beneficial for him to be here and get to 15 practices in, and you can see him getting better and better. The weight room's going to really help him as he puts on more weight and more strength.
Last spring, C.J. Johnson said he was kind of lost at times out there. Have you seen him make the strides that you need to over the course of the year?
Yeah, definitely feels a lot. I feel a lot better about him, and when he's not thinking as much, certainly you see the talent, see him, making some plays. So he's another guy that is much more consistent.
Mark, as you transition more to the 3-4, does that change your recruiting in any way, or do you feel like you've been bringing in the right guys all along?
It does. I mean, it certainly does. No matter what you're playing, 4-3 or 3-4 or 4-2-5, or whatever you're doing, you need players, and you need some outside backers and all that. But it does change it a bit for the body type that we're looking for.
Are there more of the hybrid type kids out there these days?
I think so. I think there's, when we were recruiting to the 4-3, the big, strong defensive ends, I think a lot of people search for those guys, and so I think some of the guys that maybe have a little bit more length and some athletic ability and give them a little time to grow into their bodies, there might be a few more of those guys out there.
Mark, I know you sort of answered this, but do you feel as to how much better you are today than after your first spring?
Significantly better right now after the last day of spring here. year 3 and the last day of spring in year 1, significantly better. Yes, I think it's hard to put in the words exactly, but I just think you know, it starts mentally. I think, you know, they understand what we want from them. They you know, they enjoyed practice all the way through. Like I said, the 15th day all the way through, they were enjoying themselves, concentrating on getting better. I think mentally we're much stronger, and definitely you know, feel like we're developing them to be a winning football team.
Would you say the culture now has changed to the way you want it?
I definitely believe we're moving towards the culture. Yeah, definitely are making strides in that area, and I feel very good about this team. Not again, we know where we're deficient and where we need to improve, but I like the attitude, and I feel like we have good young talent that's still developing. It's going to get better with every opportunity.
Art, now that the spring's over, when you get to the fall, what's going to be the key thing to get to where you want to make the improvement that you want to make in your third year?
Yeah, that consistency. You know, we can't have the ups and downs. It's a long, tough season, and that's the way it's going to be, and that's not going to change. And so we need to continue to develop depth, and we need to, you know, you need to try to stay healthy. But there's not a lot you can do to control that. But I just like to see our team continue to improve mentally, to be a consistent team. To every time we walk in this meeting room or we walk out on the field, to improve, to get better. And you know, you can't do that by just going through the motions. And I see us being more consistent. Like I said with the opening statement, I feel like certainly this 15 practices this spring has been the most consistent we've been.
You're talking about like just not having bad days or bad meetings,
or
one focused
in one play leading into the next, and all those things, or one day, you know, one period leading into the next, you know. So I just feel like we're getting good work, and the guys are concentrating and focusing on the things that we're stressing.
Which guys took the most dramatic leaps this spring to you?
I think that, you know, both quarterbacks really made some big improvement. I really like what they're doing. I think Garrett Johnson really took a big step. Blake Bone really had some big plays again today. Really had some flashes of catching the ball and making some impressive catches today. Josh Forrest, I think, is a guy that made some big improvement, along with Ryan Flanagan. You know, those are positions that, you know, we need to improve on. I feel like they have. And again, as I've talked about many times, I think through the middle of our defense, with the nose guard, the backers, and up through the nickels, dimes, and safeties, I feel like we're getting better. We need to continue to improve outside and get some depth outside and corner.
Are there positions that stood out that you're going to need freshmen to come in and contribute some of those guys?
I think, just like I mentioned, possibly corner would be one, and then, you know, give us some depth in some other positions.
When you're in good on good, have there been any battles that you sort of liked watching this spring? You know?
Yeah, quite a few. I really, you know, think it's been very competitive most of the spring, and that's what I like to see: good competitive plays instead of one side or the other doing well because the other side was inept. You know, I'm seeing more and more quality football plays, and that's when you know you're growing. When a guy may be covered, he comes down with a big catch, or it looks like he's going to make the catch and we strip it out of there. And so there's been good competitive plays. We've been a cleaner football team.
Mark, what do you want to see out of your quarterbacks over the summer?
Just continue to do what they're doing. Just continue to be good leaders. Continue to improve and really focus. And quarterbacks need to be keep everybody accountable in the summer. We're not allowed to spend time with them, and certainly we're not allowed to be around them when they have the football. So they have to do that on their own. And the quarterbacks certainly have to take charge of when they're throwing and making sure and keeping accountability and having guys there and making sure we're getting good work in when they're there, because they need to improve throughout the summer, the whole team.
If you name
use the term having fun and things like that, and obviously they're out there working hard, but with regard to how you're teaching and the work that you need them to do, can you explain a little bit, it's kind of obvious, why that's important to them, to enjoy what they're doing as opposed to
as you've heard me say many times, that the mentality as soon as they walk in the building can be positive or negative, and there's no replacing that positive energy and guys you know, believing in what they're doing and having a positive effect on other guys. And so when they're out there bouncing around and everybody's enjoying it and competing hard, working extremely hard, but getting competitive with each other in a good way, I think is very important.
You said you wanted to talk to those quarterbacks after spring was over, and you are probably going to name a starting quarterback. When you do that, will you guys make that public, or will that be a thing that they only know?
Did I say I was going to name him?
You said we'll name one. I mean,
I
I will name
I
one.
think I did tell Alan that I was going to name him. But I'm going to sit on that. I'll let you know if I'm ready to go public. We'll call a meeting and call you all in here.
I know when you hired Shannon, I mean, you were kind of the balance of you wanted to keep the continuity of, I mean, with the same staff, sort of the same offense, but take the next step. Did you feel like what were your impressions of Shannon in the spring, I guess? Is what
I've
I'm
been
asking.
very, very impressed. I was very happy with what Coach Brown, what Neil was doing, and where we were going. I knew we would be better this year for sure, just with the personnel, and we should be heading into year 3. So I was very pleased with what we were doing. I really like what we're doing right now. I just think it was exactly what I was looking for, and I just feel like that we made a lot of strides, and I like what we're doing schematically. I think our players are really enjoying it. Like I said, and in some ways, maybe eliminate a little bit of thinking, a little bit of pressure off certain guys. So overall, it's been very pleased.
How much has Boo sort of accomplished what you wanted to in terms of sort of the individual attention at each of those positions and all those
Very
things?
important. It was important. I really like the changes that we made defensively as far as how we're structuring our staff and what we're doing. I definitely feel like that's going to benefit those young outside backers, and we need to get a few guys in here, from this class. Certainly a couple of junior college players that'll be in the mix as well. With Avante out there at outside backer, so he'll need some individual attention. So really pleased with Coach Boo and again the moves that we made and how we set up the staff. Feel very good about it.
Okay, folks, we can get to our
Sure.
interviews.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.